This is Shred, and you're watching Most Metal Composers. I've chosen 4 different examples from 4 different composers that have had a profound effect on modern metal. And first up from California, we have Shredmaster Scott. Just kidding. We'll be looking at British composer Gustav Holst, Franz Liszt from Germany, Zafazaland, Richard Wagner, and of course the Russian Igor Stravinsky, or as I like to call him, Igor. Now you may be asking yourself, but where's Lord Bach, Shred? And trust me, he will be Bach. Now, it's easy to get confused when you're trying to look at a score and steal these ideas. So I've done my best to condense the most important elements so that you can use these ideas in your own guitar playing. This is a really important point to stress. Don't worry about the details, just go for the main idea or something that resonates with you. You never know what kind of epic riffs might come out of you with the right inspiration. So grab your axe and let's get to it. Now, first up is Gustav Holst. He was a British composer who lived from 1874 to 1934. And in Roman mythology, Mars is the god of war. You see, Holst was really interested in astrology and how it affected the human psyche. And really, it's hard to think of a piece that's had more influence on metal music. King Crimson covered Holst, Black Sabbath, then Diamond Head, and Metallica, of course. And actually, things are much more simple than they seem here. The main takeaway that I get from this is the G pedal tone. You got a 5/4 time signature, and that just keeps plowing through everything. But the really cool thing is how Holst adds chords on top of the pedal tone, like in A flat or a C sharp. And he does a lot of these cool power chord variations as well, like the inverted 5th one, tritone one. Here's the high C sharp. But that G pedal tone's always there in the bass, supporting everything with its firm foundation. Now, what's interesting to note here is that Holst attended Schoenberg's 5 Pieces for Orchestra concert in 1914. After hearing the piece, he immediately went out and bought the score, implying that he was influenced by Schoenberg's ideas. But duh, who hasn't been? Britney Spears, Madonna, too many to name, really. Now, Franz Liszt is a German composer born in 1811. He's widely regarded as one of the scariest pianists to ever live. After attending a Paganini concert in 1832, he was determined to become even more of a virtuoso than Paganini himself. And we all know that Paganini sold his soul for that musical power. And it turns out that's exactly what Liszt's Faust Symphony is all about. Even though Liszt doesn't make clear that the Faust Symphony is about him, many musical historians believe it's an autobiographical tale. Now, the main theme uses a chromatic descending sequence of augmented chords. So there's a G augmented, and then just slides down chromatically. And in fact, it's the first example of a 12 tone row that we have in music. Now this predates Schoenberg's tone rows by years and years. Maybe Schoenberg did a little creative theft of his own. Now the main takeaway here on a compositional level is chromaticism and dissonance. Try playing an augmented sequence but using power chords. Super cool evil sound. Now check it out. Being a guitarist is a tall order these days. It's really not good enough anymore to be able to shred. It just falls on deaf ears now. No one's even listening. So if we want the guitar to maintain a prominent place in musical culture, and in particular metal guitar, we really need to level up. I've already sold my soul, and it might be time for you to do the same. Let's study the great composers of the past and become more than technicians, brilliant songwriters as well. So I'll leave a link to my Patreon page below where I upload a new concept every day for us to work on. It could be about how to use the concept of contrary motion in your playing, or it could be an alternate picking exercise. The point is I want to open up a consistent musical conversation where we can improve and better ourselves every day. Now, Richard Wagner was born in Leipzig, Germany in the year 1813. Now, Leipzig is where Bach used to play organ. He will be Bach. Wagner was well known for his polemic, radical ideas. He shook the world with drama in his operatic piece, Tristan und Isolde. Now, many historians believe the sequence of chords that started the opera literally began the age of modern music. So what makes this sequence so special? Now this unresolved dissonance from one chord to the next was completely unheard of at the time. But basically, you have this melodic sequence, A to F, resolving to the E, and then a F minor 7 flat 5 chord, or some people consider it a French augmented sixth. That note resolves up by half step, and then you go to another dissonant chord, which is basically an E7 flat 5, and then resolve to the fifth. Now everybody knows Russian composer Igor Stravinsky, one of the most influential composers of all time, really. Born in 1882, died in 1971, and he actually used to live just up the street from me here in Hollywood. Now we'll be taking a look at his famous piece, The Rite of Spring. Now this piece is about the pagan rituals associated with springtime, virgin sacrifice, etc. We'll be looking at movement 2, which is called Dances of the Adolescent Girls.
Oh, come here, girl, let me touch up on your butt.
Seems like there's a lot of that going on these days. Now the second movement begins with this crazy chord. It's basically an E major triad, E, G sharp, and B, with a superimposed E flat 7 chord on top. Now it's impossible to play all those notes at the same time, so I've condensed the most important notes. And we get this. Beautiful, haunting, and even mysterious. Come on, TikTok, this one's perfect for dancing. Now, obviously there's a lot to take in here. I'll leave a link to the tablature and my compositional notes in the description below. And really, here's the true secret. If you like any of these sounds, just figure out a way to make them your own. You don't have to play all the notes or even some of the notes. Creative inspiration really isn't a linear, clear process. It can come at you from a lot of different angles. This year, let's focus on creating our own unique hybrid with these elements. Until next time, shred till you're dead.